Ladies and gentlemen, gather round because something is brewing in Flowery Branch that's about to turn the Falcons world upside down. Even the most die-hard Dirty Bird fans are in for a surprise. We're talking about 3 potential cuts, and one of them is a jaw-dropper that could completely reshape our understanding of the Falcons' 2025 roster plan. Now, if you think this is just about making room for rookies, you might want to rethink that. What's happening behind the scenes right now could send shockwaves all the way through September. So, buckle up and get ready for a wild ride. The outside linebacker room, a tough decision ahead. Let's dive into the outside linebacker room. Rugged, aggressive, young, and potentially lethal. But here's the kicker. Someone's got to go, and that someone might just be Arnold Ebiketie. Yes, you heard that right. The former second-round pick came in with sky-high expectations, but as we head into his 3rd year, the real question isn't whether he'll excel. It's whether he'll even make the team. Since the offseason kicked off, the Falcons have brought in 3 new outside linebackers, and let me tell you, they mean business. First up, we have Leonard Floyd, a veteran with real production. This guy racked up 9.5 sacks during a Super Bowl year with Raheem Morris in LA, and he followed that up with 3 more seasons of 9, 10.5, and 8.5 sacks. He's not just a maybe, he's a lock. Next, we've got Jalen Walker, drafted this year and already confirmed by Jeff Ulrich as an outside guy. And let's not forget about James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher Atlanta was so high on that they traded back into the 1st round to snag him. Toss in Bralon Trice, a 3rd-rounder from last year who lost his rookie season to a torn ACL but is back and healthy, and you've got a crowded room. The numbers game. Where does Ebiketie stand? Now, here's where it gets interesting. The Falcons carried 4 outside linebackers on their initial 53-man roster last season. With 4 names, 4 locks, already in the mix, where does that leave Ebiketie? He's hanging by a thread. If they decide to carry 5 at the position, he's still on the bubble. But if they stick with 4, he's out. And let's be real here. It's not personal. It's all about production. Ebiketie hasn't locked down a full-time role, and this team has just invested serious capital in reshaping the roster through free agency and the draft. The stakes are high, and the clock is ticking. Stay tuned, folks, because the drama in Flowery Branch is just getting started. Now let's talk about the edge group. There's a scenario where Jalen Walker could shift to inside linebacker during camp, which might just open up a spot for Ebiketie. But let's be real. Unless that happens, the writing might already be on the wall. The Falcons could feel like they've seen enough from Ebiketie and decide it's time to give those valuable reps to someone with more upside or untapped potential. A quick question for you. Before we dive deeper, I want you to ponder this. Between Floyd, Walker, and Pierce, who do you think will lead the team in sacks in 2025? Drop your answers in the comments. This pass rush group is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing in the league this year, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. The cornerback conundrum. D. Alfred's fight. But hold on, folks. We're not done yet. Next up is a name that might not tug at the heartstrings of fans, but it's still a significant storyline. Cornerback D. Alfred. Remember, Atlanta didn't even put a tender on him when free agency kicked off. They let him hit the market, and only after some time passed did they bring him back into the fold. Now, despite starting at nickel last year, Alfred is in a fierce battle to keep his job. Why? Because the nickel spot just got a whole lot more crowded. Enter Clark Phillips, a second-year player who's a serious contender for that starting role. Then there's Billy Bowman, a 4th-round rookie making the transition from safety. This guy brings range and instincts that could shake things up. And let's not forget about Kobe Bryant, the undrafted free agent out of Kansas, who comes with Big 12 accolades and was considered one of the top UDFAs in the entire 2025 class. The writing on the wall for Alfred. Let's be honest here. If you're resigning your former starter late in free agency and then spending 2 of your rookie spots on nickel options, that speaks volumes about how confident you really are in that starter. D. Alfred could find himself on the chopping block, not because he's a bad player, but because Atlanta might be looking to turn the page, develop the younger guys, and build around longer-term options. The competition is heating up, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Keep your eyes peeled, because the Falcons are making moves that could redefine their future. As training camp unfolds, if Bryant or Bowman prove they can hold their own, it might spell the end of the line for D. Alfred. Take a breath, folks, because the next name on our list is going to send shockwaves through the fan base, Kirk Cousins. Yes, the veteran quarterback the Falcons handed a $10 million roster bonus back in March. The same guy who was, by all accounts, their backup quarterback, until he wasn't. A shift in tone. Something has changed, and the tone has shifted dramatically. Initially, the message was clear. Cousins is the backup. But now, it's morphed into, well, if the right deal comes along. This change isn't just semantics. It's a signal that something is brewing beneath the surface. Cousins even had a sit-down with Arthur Blank to discuss the possibility of playing elsewhere. Let's be real, that's not the kind of meeting a backup has when he's content holding a clipboard. The trade dilemma. Here's the kicker. There's no obvious trade partner on the horizon. Pittsburgh might be eyeing Aaron Rodgers, and other QB spots are filling up fast. If the market dries up, Atlanta faces a tough decision. Do they keep a veteran who clearly doesn't want to be a backup? Do they pay him to sit on the bench? Or worse, sit at home? 4 options on the table. The Falcons have 4 options to consider. Keep him. Hope he buys in and plays the mentor role for Michael Pennington Jr. Wait for an injury. Keep an eye on training camp injuries elsewhere, and deal him quickly if the opportunity arises. Pay him to stay away. Compensate him to stay away, and hope someone comes calling mid-season. Cut ties. Rip off the bandage, admit it didn't work out, and move on. We've seen teams do it before. Look at the Texans with Deshaun Watson. While it's not the exact same situation, the principles are similar. If Cousins doesn't want to be in Atlanta, and it sure seems like he doesn't, how long before the Falcons say, enough is enough? Uncharted territory for the Falcons. Listen up, Falcons fans. This is uncharted territory. You don't accidentally end up with a $10 million backup quarterback and then flirt with the idea of trading or releasing him unless something has gone completely off script. And make no mistake, something can go off script. Cousins didn't sign here thinking he'd be behind a rookie, and yet here we are. The front office and coaching staff are walking a tightrope. On one side, they can keep Cousins, banking on his veteran leadership and trusting him to help Michael Pennington Jr. prepare for Sundays. That's the hope. But the reality, it's a precarious situation that could tip in any direction at any moment. Buckle up, because this ride is just getting started. But here's the deal. If the mood in those quarterback meetings shifts, and if Kirk starts focusing more on his own reps rather than supporting Michael Pennington Jr., we've got a serious problem on our hands. That kind of attention can poison a young locker room faster than you can say quarterback controversy. Now let's be clear, Cousins hasn't made a scene. He's shown up to voluntary workouts and said all the right things in public. But that private meeting with Arthur Blank? That's the revelation. This isn't just about lunch, it's about finding a way out. What if Cousins made it clear he's not interested in a backup role? The team might be inclined to cut ties rather than drag this situation out into the season. The dilemma: trade or cut? But here's the twist. If no one is willing to trade for him and the Falcons don't want to carry this tension into training camp, can we really see them cut a guy they paid $10 million to back in March? It sounds crazy, but remember the Texans keeping Deshaun Watson inactive for an entire season. When a quarterback doesn't want to be there, or worse, isn't mentally present, the team has to act. Let's be honest. Michael Pennington Jr. is the guy now. The team isn't protecting itself anymore. This isn't a field battle. Penn is getting first-team reps, and this is officially his team. That makes Cousins' presence all the more uncomfortable. Atlanta doesn't want a divided locker room. They don't want to deal with prep watch headlines every week, and they certainly don't want a veteran quarterback quietly simmering on the bench, feeling like he deserves to start. The stakes are high. This is why this situation is so real. If Cousins doesn't fully embrace being a mentor, the Falcons could decide to rip off the Band-Aid and move on, trade or not. This isn't about punishing a player, it's about protecting the locker room, safeguarding the rookie quarterback, and moving forward with clarity. A bigger picture: the future of the Falcons. Now, Let's take a deeper look at those three names: Ebikidi, Alfred, and Cousins. They all represent something much bigger happening in Atlanta. This team isn't stuck in the past. They're not shying away from making tough decisions. They're leaning into the future with a new coaching staff, a revamped roster, and a front office that's finally acting with urgency. As training camp approaches, keep your eyes peeled on these three positions: the outside linebacker spot, the nickel cornerback rotation, and the quarterback depth chart. A major change at any of these positions could set off a chain reaction that shapes the entire 2025 season. Your thoughts matter. So, which cut candidate shocks you the most? Which one do you hope the team keeps? Let us know in the comments. Go Falcons! The excitement is building, and the stakes have never been higher.